6:148. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are reading from the sixth canto, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, chapter 1, the history of the life of a Jamila, text 48. You have it, both of you? Okay. You have it? Okay. Narayanam namaskritam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nitam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatutam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki manasaiva pure deva purva rupam vichati anuming mang sate purvam manasa bhagavan jaha manasaiva pure deva purva rupam vipashati anuming mang sate purvam manasa bhagavan jaha. I'd like to try. Manasaiva pure deva purva rupam vipashati anuming mang sate purvam manasa bhagavan jaha. Manasaiva pure deva purva rupam vipashati anuming mang sate purvam manasa bhagavan jaha. Would anyone online like to try to read the verse? Okay. Manasa, by the mind. Deva, indeed. Pure, in his abode. Or within everyone's heart like the supersoul. Devaha, the demigod Yamaraj. Divyatiti Deva, one who is always brilliant and illuminated, is called Deva. Purvarupam, the past religious or irreligious condition. Vipashati, completely observes. Anumi sate, he considers. Apurvam, the future condition. Manasa, with his mind. Bhagavan, who is omnipotent. Ajaha, as good as Lord Brahma. Translation. The omnipotent Yamaraj is Lord Brahma, for while situated in his own abode or in everyone's heart, like the Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. Please repeat. The omnipotent Yamaraj is as good as Lord Brahma, For while situated in his own abode, or in everyone's heart, like the Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One should not consider Yamaraj an ordinary living being. He is as good as Lord Brahma. He has the complete cooperation of the Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart. And therefore, by the grace of the Supersoul, he can see the past, present, and future of living being from within. The word anumimangsate means that he can decide in consultation with the Supersoul. Anu means following. The actual decisions concerning the next lives of the living entities are made by the Supersoul, and they're carried out by Yamaraj. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anasaiva Pure Deva, Purva Rupam Vipashati, Anumimangsate Purvam Manasa Bhagavana Jaha. The omnipotent Yamaraj is as good as Lord Brahma, for while situated in his own abode, or in everyone's heart, like the Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. So the Yamadutas are continuing to answer the questions posed by the Vishnu Dutas to them, who stopped the Yamadutas from snatching the soul of Ajamila from his body. So one of the questions posed by the Vishnu Dutas was, if you are actually the servants of Yamaraj, then are all living entities, are all karmis punishable? Punishable. What is the process of punishment? And are only some karmis punishable? So they have to establish that they actually know Yamaraj. And so here they're actually describing the position of Yamaraj. So Yamaraj has a very intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord. So here they are saying that he's actually as good as Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is the first living entity. And in terms of the amount of knowledge that a living entity has, nobody can surpass Lord Brahma. And so they are saying, we know Yamaraj, um, the knowledge that Yamaraj has given us, and therefore his jurisdiction over all living entities, it can't be matched because he knows just as much as Lord Brahma. He knows past, present, and future. So this is a special qualification called Trikala Gya. So one who knows past, present, and future. So how does that actually work? Past, present, to actually know past, present, and future. So there's a very fascinating concept called syntropy. So this was sent me, Purushottam Kshetra Prabhu. And this is a scientist, an Italian scientist. So he writes that, so in science in general, predictive power, to be able to actually predict it's always something that is sought after. So, and then business tries to also use it. and so social media, particularly. The predictive power that they do is called, it's a technology called micro targeting. So what they do is that uh, based on how you traverse the internet, what you click on, what you like, etc., they're able to, within a confidence interval of about, I think they're up to 87%. So they don't have to ask you any questions. So 2016, they would, they had this they asked you questions and it became like a big class action lawsuit against Facebook. That information was then consumed by the Trump campaign, and they use it to uh, target persons who are on the fence in terms of their voting. So this technology, I've spoken about it, and there's this one, the CEO of the company who basically refined this technology. This company was called Cambridge Analytica. So they filed for bankruptcy after this class action lawsuit, but the technology still exists. So the whistleblower of this technology, her name is Brittany Kaiser. She was saying that when they were presenting the technology, we just like we were just shocked what these people were saying. So basically, what he was saying, this Mr. Richard Nix, the CEO of the company, so he was basically, he didn't say this directly, but basically the impression that she got from the presentation was that this is the most successful politician in known human history. So he had ran 53 political campaigns around the world in different countries. And using micro targeting, they were winning like about 60% or so political campaigns. So, in other words, a politician comes, approaches Cambridge Analytica, and they like, okay, we need you to basically find the people who um, basically, okay, we want to win this election. So how do we do it? So the strategies, they look at the population, the past, how people voted, and then they say the people who are on the fence, we can nudge them to whichever direction, right? So the strategy is either you do positive or negative campaigning. So what you do is that the people who are on the fence, you get them to vote for this candidate, they probably won't do it, like to vote for you who are coming. But what we'll do is we'll get them not to go and vote. And so based on that, if they this they did in I think it's a Caribbean country, I forget it. Trinidad and Tobago or something. Anyway, they basically by getting the Indian girls, the young Indian girls who are eligible to vote, don't go and vote. And because they stayed at home, this politician actually won. So they use it in the US. And yeah, different campaigns. So if you are, so they use a psychological assessment. The one that they were using was Ocean, uh, measuring your degree of openness, agreeableness, whether you're introverted, extroverted. And then one advert for an introvert, they will show Capitol Hill, the White House, like black and white. It's crumbling, and so then they say, if you vote for such and such, this is what will happen. And so because you're introverted, you become afraid. Then for an extroverted, they show American family situations. So you are uh, in the park with your family, and 4th of July today, and you're just having a good time, and then they it's all color, and then it goes black and white, and then say if you don't vote for such and such, then you will lose all this. So for an extrovert, it's like, wow, I'll lose my. Uh, so such persons, they are so in business. There's what is called the Fan Club. So these are the five top technology companies. So Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and Google. And so this technology of micro-targeting, uh, how Google puts up ads that are seemingly, oh my God, Google knows me. They're putting up stuff I'm into. Like, for example, when I think I was trying to learn Spanish, and because I was learning Spanish, like on this Duolingo app, all the ads I was seeing all of a sudden just became Spanish. And now I was like, okay, this is actually a good thing because I don't want to be bothered by ads. So I couldn't understand what the adverts were saying. So it was, in one sense, a good thing. Um, so this technology of micro targeting, some living entities can possess it. And in big business on this planet right now, uh, they basically have wreaked havoc on the planet. So this is these technologies, either they can actually do good or do bad. So in the universe, Krishna has established 12 personalities who are called the Mahajans. And some of them are Trikalagya, so they actually know past, present, and future. Now, when these living uh, if you look at the word jana, Maha means great, and then jana means living entity. So Mahajana means great living entity because they actually have this technology, Trikalagya. So mystic power and technology in they are actually comparable. So it just depends on how you do it. So, for example, flying in the sky. My Guru Maharaj speaks about this. So, flying in the sky, that's a technology. Birds have it by birth, right? Because they actually have the physiological structure to do it. But if you actually know how it works, if you know how wings work, you can build a flying machine that has flapping wings. And these they've developed. So even in the same way with Trikala gear, if you just know how it works, you can develop it. So as I said, this Cambridge Analytica, they've developed the technology, refined it, and they've sold it to the highest bidder. But you have a limited extent to how you can actually uh, develop it. Similarly, with the Srikala gear, depending on how good of an astrologer you are, um, you can do a regression for a living entity in terms of knowing their past lives. If you're really good, then you project and then you can see what's happening in the present and then do a prediction for the future. You can do 100-year horoscope, etc. So now these Mahajanas, they're not just good astrologers. They can do predictions for a whole planet, like how a specific, like for example, with the sages of Naimisharanya, they posed the question to Sutta Goswami that personified religion has left Krishna. So what's actually going to happen to the human race? And Sutta Goswami, proceeded to answer. So his predictive power is much greater because then he spoke on the conditions of Kali, etc. Now, that predictive power, it's based on what? Knowing how things work. Like, okay, the Kshatriya dynasty, it's over. The last Kshatriya on this planet from the Pandavas dynasty was the son of Parikshit Maharaj, Janamejai. So now when he disappears, there's not going to be a living entity who can be as powerful enough to actually establish the rule of law of the Vedas. And therefore, without Kshatriyas, then this is what's going to happen. And then it's not just like um, deterioration without leadership, but there's another living entity who's also going to be pushing the deterioration, and that is Kali personified. But Nicola was saying, you're finding it quite fascinating. So there's a question is, where is Kali on this planet? Kali, the personality, like where is he on the planet? So Nicola was saying he's in California. California. And I mean, it was a joke, but it's a good prediction. It's a good, yeah. But anyway, Kali is somewhere on this Earth planet, and he's actually influencing the deterioration on this planet. So similarly, when on this planet, there's also entities, very great souls, who are also trying to not just stop the deterioration, but actually help souls um, upgrade their status of life and actually go back to God in spite the deterioration. Okay. So we'll talk about that later. So I just want to read something on entropy and syntropy. This work describes the qualities. So it's called Entropy and Syntropy from Mechanical to Life Science. This work describes the qualities and implications in the field of psychology of two principles which are observed in the physical and biological world: principle of entropy and the principle of syntropy. The tropic and syntropic phenomenon can be found in the works of Luigi Fantapi, one of the major Italian mathematicians. Okay, let's see. Sorry about this. Mechanics and special relativity discovered that all physical and chemical phenomena, which are determined by causes placed in the past, are governed by the principle of entropy, while all those phenomena which are attracted towards causes which are placed in the future, attractors, are governed by a principle which is symmetrical to entropy and which Fantapi named syntropy. That's fine. So, so basically, if any of you are familiar with scientific terminology, but basically entropy, I'm sure you're familiar with this concept of chaos, chaos theory and all of that. So entropy, it's describing systems that are decaying. And so the amount of entropy in the universe is increasing. So you can't like reverse things back to where they were. And then this scientist, Luigi Fantapi, found that um, biological systems, so living organisms, are moving towards a specific state. So even though the chaos is increasing in the universe, they're trying to move towards a specific state. And so he called this uh, syntropy, and that is causes placed in the future. Okay, so here he says the scientific revolution that was started by Newton and Galileo divided the culture into two parts. One, on the one side, science capable of studying the entropic aspects of reality, and on the other side, religion dedicated to the syntropic aspects of reality, such as the soul and the final causes. The introduction of syntropy into the scientific model implies a profound change in the cultural balance between science and religion, which Fantapi describes as follows. Let us conclude by looking at what we can say about life. What makes life different is the presence of syntropic qualities, finalities, goals, and attractors. Now, as we consider causality, the essence of the entropic world, it is natural to consider finality, the essence of the syntropic world. It is therefore possible to say that the essence of life is the final causes, the attractors. Living means tending to attractors. But how are these attractors experienced in human life? When a man is attracted by money, we say he loves money. The attraction towards a goal is felt as love. We now see that the fundamental law of life is this, the law of love. I'm not trying to be sentimental. I'm just describing results which have been logically deducted from premises which are sure. It is incredible and touching that having arrived at this point, mathematical theorems start speaking to our heart. So this is an established scientist who basically describes that because of when you read the whole paper, you'll see he's not talking like very direct about consciousness, but it's essentially syntropy or attractors. You'll see it's a super soul. Super soul is causing things to tend towards a specific direction. So when the idea that, okay, I want something, I desire something, until the super soul actually sanctions it, when he does, that establishes an attractor, and the living entity, a community, a society, a whole nation moves towards that direction. So this is a scientist discovering. So he, with this framework, he can get a slice of understanding past, present, and future causes. Right. So here, the Yamadutas are explaining this to the Vishnu Dutas that the reason why Yamaraj is omnipotent, it's not because he's the Supreme Lord himself, but it's because of his relationship. He's actually, um, he is in consultation with the Lord. And so Prabhupada is also explaining it here. Anu means following the actual decisions concerning their lives. So the word anumimangsate means that he can decide in consultation with the super soul. So um so his relationship, he can actually converse with the super soul. When he decides, okay, Agari Krishna, he performed mixed devotional service, and okay, he likes Damodar, but he's not qualified to get a human life. Okay, maybe he should become a cow at Gita Nagari, or he should become an ox. Okay, I personally wouldn't want to be in an animal body because I wouldn't be able to attend Bhagavatam class. But if that's the decision, that's the decision. The super soul is allowing that, and but it's in consultation with the super soul. Uh, so if you've read Chaitanya Bhagavat, you'll come across a pastime involving Yamaraj, and this is in the pastime of who are these brothers? Jagai and Madai. So when Lord Chaitanya delivered Jagai and Lord Nityananda, actually it was, yeah, Lord Chaitanya delivered Jagai and Madai under the influence of Lord Nityananda, something extraordinary happened. So what happened was um, the the scribes of Yamaraj. So Chitragupta, he has like a whole army of people who actually record the karma of everybody in the universe. And so the description in Chaitanya Bhagavat was that they were actually becoming tired of logging all the sinful. They couldn't keep up. That's how they weren't just ordinary Jaga and Madai because this was their third birth as Jaya and Vijay. So previously they'd been Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they had been Kumbhakarna and Ravana. So in terms of how powerful they were very powerful. So they could commit sin at an extraordinary rate. And so they couldn't keep up. They were becoming tired, exhausted from trying to actually keep up. And so when Lord Chaitanya, so after Lord Chaitanya wanted to kill them, then Lord Nityananda stopped Madai because he had injured Lord Nityananda. He had caused blood to flow from his head, and then they then took shelter. Lord Nityananda, Madai tried to take shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Then Lord Chaitanya said, I'll only forgive you if you get Lord Nityananda's forgiveness. Lord Nityananda forgives him, and then Lord Chaitanya decides to deliver them. So the extraordinary thing that happened was that Lord Chaitanya was absorbing their sins into his body. So he was assimilating their sins into his body. And so the fair complexioned Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became black. Yeah. So that golden form all of a sudden just became black. And the devotees were looking at him in shock. And he was looking at them like, what's up? Because for him, it's nothing. So as he was absorbing it, he became black. And then after some time, his golden form resumed. Um, so Chitragupta and Yamaraj, they were looking at this, Lord Chaitanya's form changing. And Yamaraj, now just try to understand. I don't know if you've seen some of the judges in the Supreme Court, some of them are old, but they're like very grave, very serious persons. And when they're reading judgments, they're very serious. So the Yamaraj is very serious. The disposition of his personality. And all of a sudden, he went into ecstasy. And so the servants of Yamaraj are looking at this. He had fainted. Looking at this, they'd never seen Yamaraj faint in ecstasy. They're trying to revive him. Um, so that's how profound the transformation, the deliverance was. That these two living entities, whom we couldn't actually keep up. I mean, 500 years ago, they've been doing this service for 52 years of Lord Brahma. So as I've explained, that's that translates to 167 trillion years, Earth years. So they're very experienced. Chitragupta and company, they're very experienced. Yeah, Lord Brahma, Yamaraj has been doing this for a long time. And so this was the first he had seen such a magnificent delivery of a living entity by Lord Chaitanya. And so he went into ecstasy. So they'd never seen their Lord go into a devotional ecstasy. And so after he arose and then he was like doing a kirtan and he was ecstatic. And then Lord Shiva also came into the midst and they were also doing a kirtan. So this is all described in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So this is the power of the Sankirtan movement. And even somebody who knows past, present, and future, it actually made Lord Yamaraj into an ecstatic Harinam devotee. Yeah. So, so who can you think of in your life that knows past, present, and future by dint of an intimate relationship with the Super Soul that's accessible to you? Yeah, I'm asking both of you. Just can you think of a personality that's accessible to you, but knows by dint of uh, having an in consultation with the super soul, can know past, present, and future, and have that influence on your life.
Saying like, is that the same?
No, 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 no. So even though Yamaraj, the Yamadutas are saying Yamaraj is omnipotent, but it's by dint of consultation with the super soul. So I'm saying, do you know a living entity that a person in your life that you can actually talk to?
How she gets them.
But are they are they in cons okay, but are they in consultation with the super soul?
I was
Okay.
problems manifest presence,
Uh,
but
uh,
some things were like definitely you could see it.
uh, uh, uh.
Also, I was just having a conversation with James about the spiritual master that are like,
Yeah. Exactly.
sometimes it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Even that, but he said that he only knows what the spiritual master only knows as a super soul.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So Dinapalika was saying Prabhupada was also Trikalagya in that, excuse me, in that he demonstrated that he was in consultation with the super soul, but the spiritual master. And every morning we're singing Sakshat Taritvaina Samasta Shastra. So the spiritual master, Diksha Guru, is an external manifestation of the Chaita Guru. The Chaita Guru is this. So here, a scientist, he doesn't have a guru, Luigi Fantapi, mind you, but he's the saying living means tending to attract us. The attraction towards a goal is felt as love. So he's saying centropy, it's all about love. That's basically what the scientist is saying. So, living entity, a great soul, who knows past, present, and future, when they are also manifesting the love of the super soul that he actually has for the living entity. Uh, Krishna is described as Suhrit. So, not just a friend, but a friend who will, go anywhere where you go, whether you're a dog, whether you're a peacock, whether you're a tick on a deer, uh, whether you are a spider, whether you're a mouse irritating Hare Krishnas in the kitchen, or whether you're a fly bothering devotees trying to honor their prasadam. The Super Soul will be there. He will always walk with you. And so that's what uh, Krishna is trying to manifest. So through the 12 Mahajanas, so one of them is Shukadev Goswami, he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all love. Parikshit Maharaj, he's about to die in 7 days. So when somebody is about to die, you're not concerned with, oh, can they give me comfort? Can they give me opportunity? You're really concerned. Does this person actually care for me? So Shukadev Goswami, he very much cares for Parikshit Maharaj. And that's why he's able to actually answer his question. Uh, For one who is about to die, what is their prime duty? And so he's giving him the highest knowledge. He's working his way towards the lotus face of Sri Krishna. So similarly as well, the spiritual master, he's traveling around the world uh, at an advanced age. Uh, like traveling is changing time zones. It's really not fun for the body. And so they're doing all this, and you can see, like, if you've ever washed the feet of your spiritual master, or you've been in his room and he's going about his daily duties, you can see like the traveling is taking a toll on his body, but he's doing all this out of love. So this potency, Trikala Gya, when done out of love, it can benefit you in such a great way. So it can attract you towards Sri Krishna. Okay, this is where you're at now. This is how you're struggling with Vaidhi Bhakti, uh, trying to chant your rounds. But I'm going to give you a challenge. Okay, you should chant extra rounds or chant extra rounds on Ekadashi. You should read for an hour a day. So these directions by the spiritual master, they all given to you out of love so that you can actually come closer to Krishna. So we shouldn't so today we should feel that rules and regulations established by the Mahajans and one of the manifest great souls is a spiritual master, Prabhupada. They're not saying all this just to like control you. Like Facebook, Apple, Netflix, we've established they're actually trying to control you. They're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to get you to vote in a certain way. They're trying to get you to just keep scrolling the infinite scroll so that they can sell ads to you. They are trying to manipulate you using this technology of Trikala. But the spiritual master, Prabhupada, they're all trying to get you to come closer to Krishna. So every time we see regulations, whatever, in whatever book we're reading, whether it be a Nectar of Instruction, whether it be the Srimad Bhagavatam, whether it be a lecture, and we hear the rule that is challenging you, it's like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Try to feel the love in that rule. That's the challenge I'm putting forward to all of you today. We should try to feel the love being communicated through rules and regulations by these great souls. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, reflections, or contentions? Let me, I'll just remove the mic so the devotees can hear you.
While you're doing that, Prabhu, let me just say thank you for a nice class, and I really appreciate your analogy of the whole Cambridge Analytica social media algorithm thing to Trikalagya. It is quite similar. If you have that knowledge, you can affect things like that. So it's given me a whole new insight in how that can work. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. I appreciate the love you and Daniel showed me yesterday. I was struggling with time again to put out lunch, and so you came and saved the day.
It wasn't exactly selfless. We were pretty hungry.
I felt the love, Prabhu. That's what I felt. So thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the class. I had a tiny question. So as for Yamaraj, is he is it a position that any jiva can take, or he is actually like Shiva personality that always the same?
I don't know, maybe more learned devotee can answer this. I think from what I've heard, he's like Brahma in that he doesn't, when there's a partial devastation, he doesn't get destroyed. So I think he lives as long as Brahma. So it's not like a position in that sense.
Any jiva can become Brahma, right?
Yeah, but in the lifetime of a universe.
Any
Yeah.
become Yamaraj?
Yeah, I think so. Tarka Prabhu, do you have an insight on this in terms of the position of Yamaraj? Is he an incarnation of the Lord, or is he like Brahma, where you can ascend to that through piety? Tarka Prabhu is not an answer. We can't, your audio, Jiva, that's what he says. This is Yashadev. Yashadev says Jiva. Okay. Tarka Prabhu, I think your audio. Okay. Did you have any reflections?
I had one little technical question, and first one, that pastime of Jaga and Madhe always kind of confused me. So thanks for clarifying, like, what's the big deal there? Like, why were they so sinful? Because comparatively, and any normal person in Kali Yuga is way more sinful. But I thought that the third manifestation of Jaya and Vijay is Shishupal and Dantavakra.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But Jaga and I was like, maybe it's like
Yeah, you're right.
like a correlation between them.
There is Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a description that they are Jai. So I don't know if it's like maybe partial. There's like four manifestations, partial manifestation.
Yeah. But that's cool. That would make more sense. And the other one was that you're talking about how, well, I've written down what exactly you said, but that the spiritual master is manifesting the love that the super soul has for the living entity. And I was wondering if you can explain more, like, how specific does that get? Because generally we can see like, oh, the spiritual master is so merciful. He's like, um, he's spreading Krishna consciousness, but then there's like such personalism with each devotee, that the spiritual master has with each devotee. So I don't know. Could you just speak more about that?
Yeah, so it does become specific. So it's not just like generalized, but it is specific. So it's like, okay, this is my Diksha Guru, and I can feel that he, as an individual, part and parcel of Krishna, he actually has love for me. And then in terms of, there's also a generalized aspect to it, just as a father has love for all his children, never mind what they do, And so then you'll see that generalized aspect also manifest in that, okay, you might be struggling to follow, or you might not be feeling a bit distant from the spiritual master, but he continues in his duty of trying to instruct you and actually influence you towards taking steps to Krishna. So I don't know if that clarifies it. So there's two aspects. There's like very specific, and you feel it when the relationship is becoming more and more intimate. And the description is like you become very friendly to uh, the mission of the spiritual master. So yeah, it's a bit like when you turn 30 and you have your own family, you basically become friends with your parents. So even though they're still your parents, but then you'll turn to them and ask them for like advice on parenting, growing up, this and that. They know you're very autonomous. You don't need them for resources. Um, so when the disciple becomes very mature and he or she can take care of themselves, whatever situation they're in, but they're still feeling indebted. So the relationship is very specific, yeah, because you know, you're very intimate. He will reveal his mind sometimes to you, and then he'll even want your opinion on some certain subject matters because you become advanced. And then for disciples who aren't so advanced, then it's like a bit more dasya ras, not so much of friendship. Yeah, I don't know if that answers.
So basically, the super soul is also telling the spiritual master, giving guidance to the spiritual master how to reciprocate with each disciple. Like, you could see that like some people, I mean, kind of based on love languages too. Some people
Yeah, yeah,
qualities,
yeah.
but it seems like in my situation, like sometimes I'm just like, how would he have even known from the beginning that like that's exactly.
Mm.
So I'm assuming a lot of people have that experience.
Yeah, yeah. Because he's in,
Right?
yeah, so he's in consultation with this. So it's not like, all it's like you took a course in astrology or something, and now he knows your birth chart. And when you say, okay, Gurudev, I want the darshan, so now he's checking your birth chart. It's not like that. Sure, you'll get the experience where, yeah, in a consultation, he'll ask you how you're doing. I'm very happy to see you. So you get through all the introductions, then you ask a question, and then he closes his eyes and thinks. He's consulting with the super soul. Yeah. So that's how it happens. Yeah. I don't know if there's any other, let's see in the chat. Oh, Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gopram Nandi, Haribo.